Thanks for joining today's episode of Expert Corner, where we sit down with Salesforce product experts to learn more about specific Salesforce products and what they mean for you, the Salesforce admin. Today, we're sitting down with John Denby, Tableau expert, to talk about some of the latest and greatest in Tableau advancements, things that are coming in this next release, and what that means for you as Salesforce admin. As always, when we share product deep dives and insights, please make sure to keep our forward-looking statement in mind. Make all purchasing decisions based on currently available technology. Let's go meet John. Hi, John. I'm so excited to have you here today with our admin audience. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I'm envious of your hat. We both live in states where cowboy hats are quite a thing, and I feel like I should have worn one.
Yeah. No, I'm a hometown Fort Worth guy. So born and raised in Fort Worth, and went to TCU, go Frogs, and yeah, it just seems like the cowboy hat's part of my persona now here at Salesforce.
I love it. I love it. I'm in Montana. I can't say I was born and raised here, but I do live here, and I do see horses and cows quite often. So I feel like I should wear mine more regularly.
There you go.
So before we get started and jump in, I know we've got so much great stuff that you want to share with our admin community, but I'd love our admin community to get to know you a little bit better. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do at Salesforce, and kind of what you focus on.
Sure. So like I said, my name's John Denby. I'm a principal solution engineer here at Salesforce. I work in a group that we call Q Branch. So any James Bond fans out there, hopefully you'll get the reference. But what I do here at Tableau and Salesforce is demo engineering. So I work with our dev teams, our marketing teams, our sales field teams to kind of put together solutions that we can show customers that really highlight the power of Tableau and Salesforce together. That's the easiest way to explain my day job. But yeah, and then for fun and stuff like that, like I said, I live here in Fort Worth. I'm a sailor. I have a sailboat that I sometimes get out on, and a photographer. I like to do photography. Used to do it a lot when I traveled, but that doesn't seem to happen anymore. And yeah, so that's basically me here at Salesforce.
Well, luckily there's a lot of beautiful, the lake area there is really pretty. So there's probably some beautiful local photography that you can take.
Yeah. There is a little bit.
And if Q Branch sounds really cool, it is. I've been at Salesforce a long time, and some of the coolest stuff that you've probably seen out in the world from Salesforce comes from Q Branch. So they're doing really innovative work and thinking a lot about how our admins, how our customers are using Salesforce and how they could be using Salesforce. So super excited to have John here today because, as admins, we talk a lot about how do we be forward thinking, forward looking about what are we building for our customers, our end users, our stakeholders. So I'm really excited to hear from John today. So John, you mentioned you're really focused on Tableau. That's like the area that you're building a lot in for Q Branch. Before we dive into Tableau specifically, could you maybe give us a little bit of a lay of the land for admins and kind of analytics in general, just for maybe newer admins that are joining?
Sure. Yeah. So, Salesforce has a great story when it comes to analytics, especially for the Salesforce platform. We, of course, have our, great utilitarian operational reports that come with a platform. We have robust, predictive, next, best action flow of analysis analytics for our Tableau CRM solution that's powered by Einstein. And then we have Tableau, which is the de facto standard for visual analytics in the marketplace. So the ability to, we say here at Tableau that what we do is we help people see and understand their data. And that's really the whole journey that Tableau's on. We define the space, the ability, and what we're excited about is in the months to come, we are going to, with the help of Salesforce, unlock Salesforce data in a way that just, I don't think anybody thinks it could be unlocked, but it's it's kind of exciting. But yeah, we cover the full gamut of analytics from just operational reports all the way up to enterprise exploration and visual analytics.
So, I'm really excited to hear about this kind of next phase for Tableau and for what that means for our admins. Can you share a little bit? You see our customer demos. You work a lot with our customer-facing, Salesforce colleagues like SEs and people that are working directly with customers. What have you seen kind of a lot from the field that admins, are needing to focus on or should be focused on? What are some of the trends you're seeing for admins when they're dealing with analytics?
Well, one thing that I uncovered, especially when I started working with the analytics evangelist team here at Salesforce, is as I got to be closer to some of the admins here, I uncovered that there's a lot of requests for ad hoc reporting, where you'll get a request from the business where you need to marry some piece of Salesforce data up with some other data that's outside of Salesforce. But you want to do it. It may be what I'd call a temporal experience. So you just need to do it, get it done, analyze it, and move on. And that's where Tableau and the admin toolbox really comes to play. I did an exercise late last year where I took Tableau and built what we called some dashboard starters, primarily for admins of Salesforce, where I connected to some of the Salesforce objects so I could see who's logged in, where they're logging in from, what devices they're logging in with, things of that nature. And when I started showing that kind of insight to admins, they were just blown away that they could get that level of visual insight from a solution like Tableau. And so as I was working with people, getting feedback on that project, that's where I learned that in talking to a lot of admins, they'll say, hey, I'm given a spreadsheet or I'm given some kind of piece of information, and I just need to analyze it really quickly and get an answer back. And so again, that's where Tableau is great for our admins from that perspective.
And so it sounds like, when admins are thinking about Tableau and some of the areas that it might be solving some solutions for them, solving some problems for them, it's both that, they're going to be providing reports and analyze data for the business, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, as admins, often we're asked to create variations of visualizations or reports and charts and all of that for, let's say, sales data, right? But also, I think that example you shared was really meaningful for our admins to take note of, is it's also a tool for them to use themselves as admins in the active administration to be able to track user adoption, org trends when it comes to, like you said, who's logging in and when, and analyze that data that helps them do their job as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny because we focus in on a lot of at Tableau. Historically, we focused in on pockets of users that made sense, more departmental from that perspective. Tableau really took off, not necessarily from a tool that IT or a platform that IT looked at, but the business, because it was so easy to, or it is. I'm talking about it in past tense. It is so easy to use. I was showing somebody today how they could get started with Tableau in about 10 minutes. And so, yeah, I mean, it is critical for our admins to have these kind of tools available to them. And so being able to use it for their day-to-day job, in addition to the other things that they do, is fantastic.
And I know we alluded to this at the beginning. You mentioned that there's really a lot more coming for admins to be aware of. Can you share a little bit, sneak peek with us about?
So, so let me tell you about some of the things that I've done, especially in relation to, I showed some of this at TDX. And if you haven't seen my video related to Tableau Online and Salesforce. It's out there on the TDX site. But we've actually released a couple of things. One we released yesterday, one we released a couple of weeks ago. But let's cover the first one, which is we've made it really simplistic for you to download a connected app, drop it into your org, and then we'll let you use your Salesforce credentials with OpenID Connect to log into Tableau Online. So there's no like configuration you have to do. It's literally you drop this app in, you go to Tableau Online, you click a couple of boxes, and then you add your Salesforce users, and they're logging in with their Salesforce credentials. I don't know how much easier we could make it in that case, but we've made it, again, very simplistic for you to get started with those Salesforce users and those credentials. The other thing that we delivered that I think is a game changer is we're calling it jumpstarting your Salesforce connection. And what we've done is something we've never done in the Tableau platform before, and that is, again, through clicks without any kind of configuration or anything like that, you can go to Tableau Online, click a couple of buttons, authenticate with Salesforce, and then we take over. We go and we create some curated published data sets on the Tableau server that you can then use with our natural language processing and Ask Data, things of that nature. You can use it to create new visuals and explore your data from Sales and Service Cloud. And then on top of that, we do lay some best practice dashboards on top of the published data. But the real crown jewel here is getting that published data, those data sets, available to you to start with. So those are two examples of something we've delivered. And then I got something that's even more mind-boggling here in just a second.
Well, that sounds like those two, not features, but those two like product areas that you just shared, that sounds really meaningful for our admins that are trying to get hands-on with Tableau, want to get their Salesforce users hands-on with Tableau. It's really, so the message, the takeaway for our admins on the line is, if you were maybe wanted to dip your toe into Tableau 6 months ago or a year ago, and you were a little intimidated by the setup steps, or it felt like it was
Right.
a lot of extra kind of hoops to jump through, a lot of those, all of those possible kind of barriers or friction has been removed. So if you
Right.
have never explored Tableau in the past, or you did in the past and you were like, oh, it's too many setup steps, I can't do this right now. It sounds like a really good time for admins to kind of revisit building their Tableau expertise and starting out on that Tableau journey.
Yes, absolutely. We built these features again with the idea of taking that friction away and helping admins and Salesforce users really get started with Tableau in a very easy way, in a natural way with Tableau Online.
I love it. I mean, I want to learn like every single tool that's out there, but it's true. When there's more steps required, it can be more difficult because we all have, limited time and all of that. And so to dedicate to learning new skills. And so that's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. And I'm sure our admins in the audience are happy to hear that as well.
Yep.
So you did mention maybe there's some future stuff you can also share.
Yeah. So this is something we're working on right now, and in fact, we're looking for customers that may want to help us preview this and give us feedback. So that's my call to action from our time today. Is if what I'm about to tell you really interests you, and you don't necessarily have to be a Tableau customer, we would love to engage with you and get some feedback. But all right, so let me tell you what we're talking about. So with a Tableau dashboard, we want you to make data-driven decisions. And as you explore your data and look at the data and then come to some conclusion, there seems to be a small little missing piece to this, which is wanting to take action. Now, we could certainly redirect you into Salesforce to go take some action, But what if we could connect Tableau to Salesforce Flow and allow you to define flows where you could pass data from Tableau into a Salesforce flow and then take and have Salesforce take that action for you. It could be an email, it could be any, once we plug into Salesforce flow, it's really the sky's the limit that we could do from an action perspective. So again, we're hoping to ship this maybe by the end of this year. We really do have something working in the lab, and we want our customers to give us some feedback. So my call to action would be, if the idea of plugging your data in Tableau into Salesforce Flow kind of gets you as excited as I am, then maybe you can reach out and we can have a conversation and show you what we're working on.
That's really exciting. So this is like a pilot participation, potentially
right?
Kind of early.
We've got something ready to go, or within the next couple of weeks. So about the time this video drops, we'll be active in wanting to solicit some customers that would want to participate in that preview and then give us feedback and help us solidify some of the use cases. We think we know some of the use cases, but one of the exciting things is this is a community that's really going to help us make sure that we get it right. And so the involvement from the awesome admins, if I can say that, and giving us that kind of feedback back before we actually ship the solution is huge. And so we would love to, just invite people to do that. And there's other things that we're working on as well. I mean, we're working on expanding our support for SOCL in our connector. We've got some additional connectors to Salesforce coming out. We've got a marketing cloud connector that's on the horizon. So, but to me, this is the one that just really gets me excited, because we're adding a workflow engine or an action engine to Tableau, and it just happens to be Salesforce Flow.
Right.
So,
well, in having the scale of automation that you could build, I think would really be meaningful for a lot of our customers.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, we're going to have to come up with, because we've got Flownatics, we've got the Data Tribe, right? That's our Tableau community and our Flow community. So we're going to have to come up with like
some kind of
hashtag. That's the the mashup of the two.
Mashup of those two. Yeah, there you go.
We'll need some suggestions on that. What we should be calling everyone who's going to be building these awesome, data-driven. Really, it's truly data-driven flows.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really exciting. So, if we have admins that are listening, who are new admins, who are or maybe admins that are new to Tableau, they've heard there's so much they can do as an admin with Tableau. There's so much they can deliver for their end users who want meaningful analytics. There's all this really exciting stuff coming with Flow and Tableau. What would be some of your best tips for admins on kind of where to start or how to get started with Tableau?
Well, you mentioned, and there is a mashup occurring right now. So Data Tribe is Tableau CRM's community, and then Tableau is called their community Data Fam. And so there's an interesting mashup going on as we've brought the Tableau CRM product, or what used to be Einstein Analytics, into our family of Tableau. But really, the first place is the community. I can't stress that enough. There's a fantastic community that really all is about helping people get started. Very much, I was blown away when I was first introduced to the awesome admin community last year as part of TDX and stuff like that. And I was like, man, these guys are just as crazy as our Tableau community and things like that. But there is activities. I'll mention a couple. There's a thing, kind of an interesting exercise that happens every Monday, which is called Makeover Mondays. And this is something the community created. It's not something that Tableau organically built or something like that. But the community got together and said, wouldn't it be cool if we found a dashboard with some data? We threw it out there and say, okay, make this over, just like a house makeover. Use your Tableau skills, find new insights in the data, and then spend a couple of days doing that and then publish it up. And then on Wednesdays, we'll give you some feedback as a community. And so I don't know what the numbers are, but I know hundreds of people every week participate in that exercise. And so it's a great way to get peer reviews, to find data that's already been curated or at least used. The data is usually pretty topical. It could be data about any number of different things out there, news related or just fun data from that perspective. But that's one place I would go. Our community pages are all driven off of Salesforce as well. So that's going to be a very familiar interface for our admins. And so getting involved in our community pages. We have user groups that meet on a local basis, now mostly virtual. So yeah, there's lots of different ways to get started. I'll tell you my quick Tableau story on how I got started. And this is like 10 years ago, but I think it's still relevant today. I was leading a group of solution engineers in a global fashion, and we supported a group of global companies. And these companies, for various reasons, showed up in our Salesforce instance multiple times, because they were entities based on, different countries, things like that. And I was trying to get a report on where my solution engineers were spending the most time with what customers. But what I was getting was too detailed, and I needed to aggregate it at a higher level. So I needed to know customer X, customer Y, and I just struggled with it. And so I Googled, I forgot, I wish I could remember what the Google statement was, but I Googled something, and the first hit was Tableau. And I downloaded Tableau immediately. We give you a 14-day trial so you can fully functional, get it if you want to play with it. Downloaded Tableau, and I didn't need any training. The interface was super intuitive. Within 15 minutes, I had the report I was looking for. I was able to group my companies together through some simple grouping capabilities inside of Tableau. And that was 10 years ago. You can imagine what the product's like now. But it's one of the reasons I came to work for Tableau, because I never forgot that first Tableau experience. And so when I was looking a few years ago to make a career move, Tableau was like my dream job. Coming to work here was what I wanted to do, because if a company could put a tool together that was that simple to use and help so many people, then I wanted to be a part of that.
I love that story. And I think staying close and keeping, in your mind, keeping close that first user experience is so important, right? Like for thinking about enabling people on tools and helping customers on tools. So I love that story.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time and your expertise and your knowledge and sharing with us today, John. I know our admins are appreciative, and it was great to have you on.
Yeah, no, I'd love to come back anytime. You can find me out on Twitter. It's pretty simple, J Demby. Be happy to connect with you. If you need help getting started, don't hesitate. You can tweet me and I'll point you in the right direction.
I love it. I hope some of our admins take you up on that. Awesome. That was such an exciting deep dive into what's coming for Tableau and what that means for you as a Salesforce admin. Thank you for joining us today. Make sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube so you never miss an episode like this. And visit us at admin.salesforce.com for this and other content created especially for you, our Salesforce admin. That's all for today's content, and I will see you next time.